afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. In Kumasi, we're on Love 99.5 FM and affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Radio Justice, Tamale, and Radio Pando. We're live on X Spaces, Facebook live stream, and the My Joy Online interactive app. The Midday News is proudly sponsored by Petrosol, the clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience. It's also brought to you by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. The only water storage tank with a level indicator. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. Coming up this afternoon, OT Regional Minister and Security Council appeals to the youth in Yazo to remain calm while authorities work to resolve disturbances around the death of two footballers that sparked protests in the area.
The chief of Yajo, and then with the representatives of the Paramount of Amansu and then the Dodo Paramount chief, we appealed to them to call on the youth in town that it was not deliberate.
We have details, plus First Deputy Speaker Joe Osei-Owusu, who is retiring from Parliament, delivers a damning verdict on politics in Ghana, claiming it has created a society that lacks discipline. Passed the affirmative action bill into law before the end of the 8th Parliament. Words of former director of the Institute of African Studies, Professor Techiwa Menu.
Do more about this really lopsided. You're talking about Parliament. What about district assemblies? We have this. These are the basic units of governance.
We have details. As she says, time has come for Ghana to put in place measures that will encourage more women to take up leadership positions. Also in this bulletin, Ifwa Santiwas finally ends her longest singing marathon attempt on an emotional note after singing for 126 hours, 53 minutes.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know it. We will get there, heaven knows where we will get there.
We have details as a professor of marketing at the Ghana Communications Technology University, Professor Ivo Henson, says the country should leverage on the feat chalked by IFWA.
Heaven knows where we are going.
Feats like this can be very temporary. Hilda Baci won a similar thing in Nigeria. It was just for 2 minutes. In a short time, somebody else had cooked longer than it was gone. So we can't even wait for this to marinate for 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years. The time to take advantage of it is now. So if there's anything we can do at domestic and international level, let's rally around it and use this as a catalyst for boosting our tourism and investment fortunes.
The countdown is on, and it is 7 days to the biggest New Year event in Ghana, the Joy FM's 90s Jam. You'll hear how we've been warming up to the 5th of January.
Still doing that.
Thanks for choosing us for your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. My name is Fostina, Sarfo. Thanks for choosing us. Now, the OT Regional Minister, Joshua Makubu, has appealed to the youth in Yatso to remain calm while authorities work to resolve the disturbances around the death of two footballers that sparked protests in the area 2 days ago. On Thursday, the youth took over the residence of the district chief executive, demanding his removal. OT Regional Correspondent Peter Seno caught up with the minister after an emergency district security council meeting at KJB.
On Wednesday, 27th of December 2023, the youth of Yajo, Ahamansu and surrounding communities besieged the residence of the DCE demanding his removal over the death of two footballers in their communities. The footballers met their death on 25th of December in a head-on collision with the National Security Cocoa Board Task Force vehicle. The protest to the office and residence of the DCE prompted an emergency DISEC meeting. The meeting was to deliberate on how to ensure peace, law and order in the district. Duty Regional Minister who attended the meeting mentioned the following as some of the resolutions reached.
We conveyed the condolences of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic, and his Vice President, His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to the bereaved families, the people in Yajo, the Amansu traditional area, and the people of KJB district, as well as the entire OT region. Then the second point was an appeal, where we appealed to the family through the chief of Yajo, and then with the representatives of the Paramount of Amansu, and then the Dodo Paramount chief. We appealed to them to call on the youth in town.
The regional minister, Joshua Makubu, joins us live on the line with more. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Midday News. First off, tell me how you plan to resolve the situation.
Thank you very much, and my regards to all your listeners. I wish them a happy new year in advance. So, as indicated earlier, we have realized from intelligence we have picked that the demonstration that ensued on the 27th was rather not from the people of Yajo or the members of the bereaved families, but it was inspired by some other interest groups, some of who are politicians and some of who are also part of the cocoa smuggling syndicate. So that is why we decided to first of all get a first-hand interaction with the bereaved families and then the chiefs who are custodians of the laws of the land in that area. And yesterday we had a very fruitful deliberation. They assured us of their cooperation. They came with a lawyer, and then we also assured them of our role as representatives of the government in the region and in the district, and instructed the police to go ahead and get the postmortem conducted latest by today. And then when that is done, we'll sit down with the family and arrange the burial for these loved ones of ours that unfortunately met their untimely death. And then when that is done, we'll also ask the police to come out with a report of the investigation into the case. And then we see where we need to demand justice and who we need to demand it from, and also take steps to ensure that their families are properly compensated when it is revealed that the Cocoa Boss through National Security Task Force was actually on the wrong path. But whatever it is, we are committed in recognizing our brothers who lost their lives on this day of the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Christmas day. It's very painful. We meet them, they are players. We have all watched their football before, and it's concern for us. However, those who have decided that they want to turn it into a political disturbance will make sure we stop them, because there's law in Ghana.
Interesting you bring that up, because residents in that region, they want the district chief executive out. In fact, he barely survived a mob attack. Now, the question is, how are you planning to resolve that issue? Because he has served notice, he is not vacating his post.
The thing is, if they say they want the district chief executive move out, in the first place, it was not the chief executive that called on the cocoa board to institute a task force into cocoa smuggling. It was not also chief executive who have asked people in that area to smuggle cocoa. When the event happened, the chief executive was not there. However, he did a yeoman's job. He recognized the family. He appreciated the loss that had occurred. So that when he heard it, he didn't stay in his office to send police to go and bring in first-hand information. No, he drove to the community and met the families and actually spoke, and the chief intervened, and they had a very fruitful conversation. And it was one guy who didn't come from that community. He is rather coming from Pampangwe, who at the campaigned and incited the youth of the community against the state. But they were so able to calm down, and then the DCE moved. That is why I'm saying that we have a list of all the people who contributed towards the attack on the DCE. We have also got voice recordings of people who actually staged that demonstration. So that's why I'm telling you that those who were demanding for the removal of DCE, those who went to attack the DCE, they were criminals. They were people who had various interests and not actually fighting for justice for the death of our brothers and sisters. It's just like some other people decided to turn the story the other way round. So I am telling you that if it is actually based on the
Interesting. Now, what's next? What's next? Since you have the list of these individuals, what's next for you?
families. So the people who did that are purely criminals, and we are tracking them.
So what's next? Since you have the list of these individuals, what's next?
Yeah, so we have a list of those who have contributed towards the demonstration, how much each of them has contributed, and voice recording from some other people. We have handed them over to the appropriate security agencies who have commenced their investigations into getting those people to tell us the rationale behind that.
Thank you so much, OT Regional Minister Joshua Makubo, join us live on the Midday News. The Ghana Bar Association says the joint declaration by the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Judicial Service is a strong signal that the two institutions will collaborate to fight corruption. The two institutions agreed on Wednesday to bury their differences and work together after the Special Prosecutor accused some judges of giving questionable rulings to thwart the fight against corruption. Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Bar Association, Xavier Kuji, has described the collaboration between the Judicial Service and the Office of the Special Prosecutor as a renewed commitment in the battle against corruption.
Welcome news that is commendable. We see this as renewed commitment between the judiciary and the Office of the Special Prosecutor to fight corruption and corruption-related activities. And we see this also as a form of renewed collaboration. I'm using the word renewed because all along, to us, they've been collaborating, they've been committed to the cause of fighting corruption and corruption-related activities. This is the way we think we should go. We should collaborate, we should learn to engage each other rather than going the way we normally do. But this is also to stress the point that this doesn't take away the fact that court rules and procedures will be, must be observed. So there's no way they are going to be compromised. Yes, that, as I said, it's a renewed commitment to make sure all these processes are followed through.
You heard PRO of the Ghana Bar Association, Xavier Kuji, now former MP for Tamale Central, who served on the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee. Nusa Fostina says the joint declaration is coming at an important time and it will help fight corruption.
And I'm certain that the judiciary is coming on board, because when you look at the second recital, they said concerned about the corruption and corruption-related offences, on the impact of corruption and corruption-related offences on development and our democracy. So they are concerned, I mean, clearly, and noting certain things that ought to be done, and then affirming their position to collaborate in order to fight this canker through established institutions, through established procedure. So clearly, they are sending the signal that they note efforts being made in that direction. They note the impact of that on development, corruption and development, and they are saying that all of us ought to work together to fight corruption and fight it with the seriousness and attention that it deserves.
Renowned economist Kwame Pianim has proposed a radical solution to Ghana's endemic corruption problem, which will see the taker or the giver of a bribe rewarded, so far as one of them is the first to report the bribe. He envisions a Ghanaian society where the law is amended to create a situation where incentives are provided to corrupt individuals to encourage them to report individuals they've done corrupt deals with.
The prisoner dilemma is when you have two prisoners and they agree to do something to protect one another. But the first person to break and tell the prison officers what is happening gets benefits. So you put tension between the giver of the bribe and the taker of the bribe. So that if you are encouraged or forced or put in an awkward position to pay a bribe, and you pay the bribe, and then you go and report, you get your bribe back. If you were a contractor, you were looking for a contract, you get a contract. You also get some, maybe 5 points, 5 percentage points for your next contract award, so that you are ahead of everybody. If you are also the taker, and you took it, and you reported, you keep the money.
He says there must be draconian prison sentences for those found guilty of corruption under his proposed legal regime.
If you are the guilty party, if you took the bribe, you go to jail for 10 years.
That is if the other person goes to report you first.
First. Whoever reports first. Both the giver and taker are guilty in this case. For you, bribing a public officer is an offense. Taking is an offense. So whoever reports first, the guilty party, minimum 10 years prison sentence. And then if the contract had to do with school, health delivery, a road that may pose risk to human life, then you may go in for life.
Yeah.
My student thought that they are too draconian.
That's why you need to fix it.
The way to...
The time has come for Ghana to take bold steps and implement policies that will encourage more women to take up leadership positions. That's according to the former director of the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana, Professor Techiwa Menu. She's calling on Parliament to pass the Affirmative Action Bill into law before the end of the 8th Parliament. She spoke in a yet-to-be-aired interview on PM Personality Profile.
If you look at the regions in West Africa, I think apart from Central Africa and maybe the North African region, we really are at bottom, you know. Senegal has a gender parity law, which is interesting, do you see? Yeah. So it's not about religion, it's not, it's about state policy, it's about intention. So in West Africa, apart from Senegal, Cape Verde, and remarkably Togo is making a lot of progress. The same way, we tend to look down on people or countries. We think, oh, this is a small country. But when you look at the statistics, you find that it's different. But what generally, most of those other countries that have achieved progress, they've done it through quota systems, they've done it through proportional representation. And you know that here the political parties have fiercely resisted any talk of, you know, reserving seats for women, etc. But we're going to. In any case, when the affirmative action law is passed, and that is one of the reasons why it has stalled. It hasn't just stalled, you know, it does make demands of, you know, so in Kenya, for instance, you cannot nominate people to any position like.
She also expressed worry about what she described as the proliferation of tertiary institutions in the country.
When it comes to higher education, well, on the surface, it looks like we have a proliferation of institutions. And I think that we're going to need to have some conversations in this country, you know, how many institutions do we need? You know, now it's like one region, one university. So we just created 6 new regions. So are we going to create 6 new universities? What will it cost? Do we have the money to equip them sufficiently? So there are all kinds of issues at that level, you know, just even in terms of the institutional thing. And then it's creating some really also very bigoted statements where people feel that because the university is in their region, the head of it must be in their region. They are Ghanaians. They are free to work anywhere. And it should be about who is qualified to do that, not.
You heard former director of the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana, Professor Techiwa Menu. The full episode airs later tonight at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Do make a date. And we're taking a quick breather here on the Midday News. When we return, we'll tell you about the Singathon as Ifwa Santiwa finally ends her longest singing marathon attempt on an emotional note.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know it.
when budgets are tight and money difficult to come by. You want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a petrol source station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
The world awaits this. The journey begins in Accra. Prepare to witness a global spectacle. Africa's biggest theatrical venture, the second coming of Nkrumah by Lateef Abubakar.
Our independence is meaningless unless it links up the total liberation of the African continent.
Experience the fusion of captivating drama, vibrant dances capturing the spirit of Africa.
Freedom!
Live at the Accra International Conference Center, 28th, 29th, and 30th of December 2023. 2 shows each day, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Dial *711 *10# to purchase or visit theafricanfestival.com. Tickets are also available at Kuala, Airport Shell, Joy FM, and Bachona Total. Call 0571 900 900 for details. The second coming of Nkrumah, Africa's biggest theatrical venture, is brought to you by MNC Group Global in partnership with Joy Entertainment and Graphic News Plus app, powered by the African Festival.
Y'all ready?
You better look for your shadow. The 90s jam is back. The golden era of urban music. The 90s, the nostalgia, the music.
True music.
The Shada, Cross Collars, Kalkani, Full Injection, Fubu, LA Gear, Tommy Hilfiger, Paco, Pele Pele, DKNY, and many, many more. The dancers crisscross, shoop, kraken, breakdance, cabbage, and more. The Joy FM 90 Jam, 5th January 2024, rooftop of City Galleria Mall behind Accra Mall. The first and only certified jam of the new year, fully powered by Joy 99.7 FM, your super hits radio.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, after singing for 126 hours, Ifwa Santua finally ends the longest singing marathon by an individual. Ifwa started the record-breaking journey on Sunday, 24th of December 2023, and has been singing for 5 straight days with only a 20 minutes break after every 4 hours. Within these 5 days, she has received massive support from Ghanaians, including the Vice President, Dr. Baumia, Chief Justice Getri Tukuna, ministers, members of parliament, and prominent faces in the showbiz industry. Here's a wrap of the Singaton journey.
Going, heaven knows where we are going. How we will get there. God will be mighty and I will get there. Heaven knows how we will get. Baby, say, oh, fam, chimpa. Me down to me, the better one, I say, oh, pam, my pen, oh, dumb, me, don't,
Look at the happiness on people's faces. So that tells you that the creative arts is a place that we should all be kept, we should all keep dear to our hearts.
Obi friend of mammy. Bahima on no nim near Makuma Bay. Obi friend of mammy. Minyan taban, and come to my card and chain. Now what do? What shoes?
So how does corporate Ghana leverage on this feat by Afua? Vice Chancellor of the Ghana Communication Technology University, Professor Abel Henson, has some perspectives to share.
It's probably the most iconic nation branding campaign on this continent, maybe 100 years or so. Totally iconic. Then, as a follow-on, we did the thing. After year of return, we said we're going to do something around building on the benefits of the year of return, which was beyond the return. Now, if you look at the 7 tenets of beyond the return, the ladies' feet answers to about 4 or 5 things we can do to leverage her phenomenal success. One of the things we said we'll do is that we'll use the beyond the return to deepen the connection between Ghana and the African and Ghanaian diaspora. This lady has made Ghanaians proud globally. So it was ever a time when we can leverage a feat like this to get more Ghanaians to invest back home, to open more trade doors, to open more investment doors, to open more tourism doors. This is the time. Another thing we said we would do as part of Beyond the Return was highlight Ghana as a world-class, authentic global tourism brand. Now, when it comes to nation branding, contemporary nation branding has to do with leveraging anything you may have, which is peculiar to your country, to give you a very nuanced global positioning so that people will choose you over others when they are making all sorts of investment, tourism, and destination visit decisions.
The countdown is on, and it is just 7 days to the biggest New Year event in Ghana, the Joy 90s Jam. We've been warming up for the event on the Super Morning Show this morning. Nia Itego gave us a sneak peek into what the 5th of January will feel like at City Galleria close to Accra Mall. We'll hear that shortly. First, here's a report from Maxwell Agbagba.
This was what it was like at the last 90s jam at the Silver Star Towers. The biggest New Year party is back, and you can expect some of these songs at the event on the 5th January.
Deba, boy be peso GG me. If I baby I'm not tata me. Why am I feed me who tree me? Deba, on your way there freaking me.
My thing is what to me first year, what to Mutaya, and the boy Mr. Super, at the same what to me first year, what to Mutaya, and the boy, my power la. High time, big time, hardcore,
Now let's listen to how we have been getting ready for the event on the 5th of January. Nia Itego was behind the 10 tables on the Super Morning Show with some good 90s songs.
Top brains, 4 heads or not.